Hello everyone, this is Sportsbet TV and Paul Alster back with you with my racing selections for the weekend of Saturday the 20th and Sunday the 21st of February. Some really good racing as the countdown is very much on now towards the Cheltenham Festival, and we'll be seeing the kind of final outings for a number of horses before they take their chance at the big meeting in a few weeks' time in mid-March. A lot to look forward to. And I've got some pretty interesting selections, I think, for you today. I have 4 in all across Saturday and Sunday. Before I go any further, and before I get into trouble, do remember to press the subscribe button just below this screen, and also the little bell icon so that you'll be informed of any bulletins or updates that we put out, and you won't miss a trick. And remember as well to share this with your friends. And if you're new to the service, well, my name's Paul Alster. I'm a broadcast journalist specialising in horse racing for over 35 years. And when it comes to tipping, I'm always looking to tip each way prices to give us a sporting chance of showing a profit. Nobody's going to get rich backing favourites. I think that's been established over the years. And if you've been following us regularly, you'll know that we've been tipping some very big price winners. Indeed, just a couple of weeks ago, a 16-to-1 shot obliged for us. I don't tend to give too many tips. I'm not tipping in every race. And we have 4 selections, as I say, for this weekend. But very quickly, a recap on last weekend, which wasn't too bad to say. The British Jumps Racing was abandoned. We had 3 of them over in Ireland. Sovereign Gold, back from 6-to-1 to 9-to-2, ran a very good race, I thought. Came there with every chance, just found 1 too good, finishing second. So if you were on each way, you'll have shown a very small profit. All About Joe, well, he was back from 10 and 12-to-1 down to 9-to-2, a major gamble. I noticed in the comments 1 or 2 points about this, and I have to say he wasn't given the most enterprising of rides. Out the back most of the way before staying on far too late, never nearer. The gamble was certainly underway, but for whatever reason, let's put it that way, the horse didn't get into the shake-up. And then at Punchestown on Sunday, well, we had a real shout. Certainly I was shouting. That was at Punchestown in the Grand National Trial. I tipped your horse called Themistocles for Joseph O'Brien, and he ran an absolute blinder. And I thought going down to the second last, we could just be in for another big price winner, because I know a lot of you are on at 14s, and I read as well that some were on at 16 and 18-to-1 each way. And happily, you took my advice of seeking out bookmakers that pay the 5 and even 6 places. And the 6 places worked out for us, because over the extended trip, he just ran out of steam between the final 2 fences. And in the end, he finished 6th, held on for the 6th place behind the big dog, who was a big gamble, and prevailed. So if you were on each way for the 6 places, as quite a number of firms were paying, then you'll have also shown a nice profit on Themistocles. So it wasn't too bad a weekend. Now, let's see if we can go a little bit better. And we'll start off at Haydock, out there on the East Lancs Road, and the 2:05 race on Saturday, which is the Grade 2 Rendlesham Hurdle. It's a very good 3-mile contest. And there's some fascinating runners here, because Itchy Feet, who's pretty high class over fences, he's going up in trip and switching back to hurdles, but many of the firms have him as favourite. I'm not sure he'll stay in the testing ground. On the blind side for Nicky Henderson, well, he should be thereabout, no doubt about it. He should stay. Emmy Tom, who's returning after a wind operation, he's had a couple of tries at chasing, but he won this race last year, and so there's every reason to believe he could be dangerous. Well, Main Fact, of course, that's the horse of David Pipes that rattled up a real sequence before finding a few too good for him last time. It wouldn't surprise me if he were to bounce back. But the horse I really like here is LISNAGAR Oscar, who won, of course, the Stayers Hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival last season at 50-to-1. He's trained by Rebecca Curtis and is the mount of Sean Bowen. And that shock success at the Cheltenham Festival last year was no fluke. He won it fair and square. And this season, he's been quite interesting. A very good 4th on his return up at Wetherby in the Bet365 Hurdle, the Grade 2 there, behind Roxana. He was giving that very good mare a whole chunk of weight, and she's gone on to really franked the form. He then ran in the long distance hurdle at Newbury, the Grade 1. That was on the 27th of November, where I did fancy him, and he was going perfectly well, still there after 3 out, and upsize approaching 2 out, when he stopped very quickly. Now, we've seen this with so many horses, it happens, and I've pointed this out time and time again. It can sometimes be breathing issues, but other times there can be other excuses. And on this occasion, it was a bit of both, because Rebecca Curtis reported that the horse had struck into himself. And if you don't know quite what that means, it means that obviously the horse has the 2 legs on the front and the 2 back legs. And sometimes if they're slightly unbalanced in their action, the back legs can collide with the front legs, and with the steel horseshoe, it can cause an injury. And this is what happened. And LISNAGAR Oscar struck into himself. The horse also made a noise. Now, that could have been because of breathing or because he was in shock at hitting himself and it hurt. So just to be sore, they did the wind surgery anyway, and he's reportedly come out of it in tip-top shape. And this race is going to be his prep for the defence of his stayer's crown. And quite a number of horses over the years, I'm sure you remember, lots of great stayers in the stayer's hurdle have defended the crown. So a couple of things here. First of all, on Saturday, LISNAGAR Oscar is the highest rated horse in the field at 159, yet he's offered at 8-1 each way at the time of this recording on Friday lunchtime. And that's with Bet 365, Sky Bet, Unibet, and Bet Victor. And I think 8-1 each way is a really good bet. And I'll be taking a bit of that about LISNAGAR Oscar. And at the same time, I'm adding to our Cheltenham Festival portfolio, because I'm going to take 33-1 about him each way to defend his crown in the Stayers Hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival on the Thursday of the big meeting. And I think that is good value, especially if he runs a big race on Saturday. He'll be down to about, I would have thought, 10 or 12-1. So I'm prepared to take a chance, back him on Saturday for the Rendlesham, and back him each way at 33s to defend his crown in the Stayers Hurdle. And if he does run well Saturday, for those of you that like to trade and arbitrage, you might be able to trade out, get your money back, and still have a nice price runner for you at the Cheltenham Festival without any risk. And just on that subject, I'd be interested to know, I know there are many hundreds, if not thousands of you now following the bulletin. I have so far tailored all my advice to traditional bookmakers, but of course, so many people these days do bet on the exchanges. And I'd be interested to know if you do bet on the exchanges, and if you'd like me to look at options and different angles on the exchanges as well going forward. So if you want to leave a comment about that, I'd be more than happy to hear from you in the section just below this video screen. Now, my second selection Saturday is at Haydock, also in the 350. Very testing ground there. It's the 3-mile handicap hurdle, and Nicky Henderson, Champagne Platinum, is likely to be the favourite here. He was a good third at Newbury over 2.5 miles, and he does stay well. He was 7th of 23 in the 3.25 mile Kim Muir Chase at last season's Cheltenham Festival. So he's probably a worthy favourite, but probably not great value. Potter's Hedger and Farrant's Way were first and second over course and distance 4 weeks ago, and both should run their races. But I think we know plenty about those two. And there's an outsider that I did take quite a long look at called Fair Point Sivola, who I think is interesting going up in trip, but I haven't gone with him. The horse I've gone with is a horse I've tipped you before, and his name is Look My Way. He's trained by John Quinn up in the north and ridden by £7 conditional jockey Aaron Anderson, who on what I've seen of him so far looks perfectly capable. And his £7 claim in the closing stages of this 3-miler in deep ground could well prove very useful indeed. Now, you may well have been on this horse. I know quite a lot of you jumped in with me when he ran a Boxing Day, and he was a very, very good second at 18-1 to Mint Condition. And that was in a 2 3/4 mile event at Wetherby. Now, the form has been really franked by Mint Condition going on when we tipped him at Warwick last month to go oh so close in the Grade 2 staying novice hurdle. So the form is very, very solid. And indeed, Mint Condition is running later on in the 4:25 at Haydock in another Grade 2, for which he's favourite. So Look My Way, who chased him home, just getting a few pounds at Wetherby, I think is very interesting indeed. He's going up in trip, And having looked at that race quite a number of times, the Wetherby race, my impression is that this horse is probably going to stay, and that his relaxed style of racing is going to suit here. He'll be switched off for much of the trip and start to pass them, I think, going down the back straight the final time. So I'm expecting him to go well, and he should be sharp enough. He's had a spin round in one of those jumpers bumpers a week or two back, and that should have just blown a few cobwebs away. And I think he's going to run very well indeed. I also think he could improve for the 3 miles, because if you look back on his flat career, where he was a very decent staying handicapper, he actually won at Chester over 2.25 miles at Chester on the flat off a mark of 90. So there's every reason to believe he will get the 3 miles for the first time on Saturday. And at the time of this recording, only the one firm brave enough to go up early, and they are William Hill's. They go 7-1 each way, a quarter of the odds. He may well be bigger elsewhere. So remember, as always, bet with a bookie who's going to give you the SP if it's bigger than the price you take. So that is Look My Way, 350 Haydock Saturday, 7-1 each way, could well go bigger. And then our final selection on Saturday, we're switching across to Ascot, where there's some cracking racing, of course, the Grade 1 Ascot Chase, amongst others. But the 3 o'clock race interests me. And this is a 2 mile, 3 furlong handicap hurdle. They're betting around 6-1 the field. I'm not going to go through them all. I'm just going to tell you which horse I fancy here, because there's plenty of runners. And it's the Northern Raider. Mick Easterby trains this one. Spitting Mick himself. Do you know he's going to be 90, Spitting Mick, next month? It's hard to believe. One of the great characters of British racing. I've met him many times. Memorably had afternoon tea with him in a private box at Ayr with his brother Peter Easterby, and back in the day with Peter Saville as well. It was one of the more memorable moments from my racing career, where he regaled us with some very colourful stories, to say the very least. So Mick Easterby, almost 90, trains Albert's back. David Bass rides for the first time for Mick Easterby. So there could be a deadly combination. Now this horse has been chasing last term, and indeed, I think it was his chasing bow. He came second at Leicester to a horse called First Flow, no less. And First Flow, of course, we know is an absolute superstar, Grade 1 winner, and he's one of our anti-post tips, of course, for the Champion Chase. We're on him each way. So he went chasing. He's back hurdling now, and this season he won at Wetherby, over 2 miles off 128, then at Haydock, over 2 miles, 3 furlongs. He was really impressive off 133. Now, the horse handles plenty of give underfoot, no doubt about it. But I'm afraid he didn't handle very much at Wetherby earlier in the week, just 3 days ago, because he tripped up and fell at the very first flight. Now, hopefully he's got that out of his system. It was one of those soft falls, thankfully on soft ground. He got up very quickly, and there must be no sign of a mark on him, because Mick's running him again and sending him all the way down to Ascot. So it looks to me as if Mick has got him cherry ripe, and he doesn't want to miss the chance to run this horse while he's got him at the top of his game, and he's going all the way down to Ascot. And as we know, Mick's a bit careful with his pennies, so he won't be sending them all the way down at all the expense if he doesn't think they're going to run well. So I think he's got a big chance, Albert's back, a horse who has got plenty going for him for a yard that is as shrewd as they come. And I think the booking of Dave Bass is very interesting. Now, we're 12-1 each way for 5 places at least. And that is at the time of this recording with Paddy Power, Betfair and Bet Victor. So it'd be great to see Albert's back win. I'm not sure if Mick will be going all the way down there to Ascot, but it'd be great to see him do one of his jigs if he does win. And I certainly hope he does. Albert's back in the 3 o'clock at Ascot on Saturday. And then on to Sunday. Well, the rescheduled Newbury meeting that was last week, I did a lot of studying and analysis of the Betfair hurdle. And I came to a conclusion last week and was very much hoping that the horse I fancied was going to run in the rearranged version on Sunday. Well, it's £125,000, so not many horses and owners and trainers are going to give up the opportunity to have a crack at this one. It is, of course, one of the great handicap hurdles of the season. Used to be the Tote Trophy, the Schweppes, you name it. And for some of the older viewers of this bulletin, here's a few of my favourite horses to have won this race. back in the 80s, Donegal Prince for Paul Kellaway. And then I think the first time I backed the winner of this race was Ra Nova. I wonder how many of you remember that. Trained by Nan Kennedy, a granny who only had 2 or 3 horses, and she won this race. In the 90s, Large Action was a cracking horse. And of course, Make a Stand for Martin Pipe won it and then went on to win the Champion Hurdle. In the 2000s, Geos won it twice for Nicky Henderson, who's got a very good record in the race. And then in the last decade, well, Zarkandar, I was on him when he won for Paul Nicholls. And I was also on Kalashnikov when he did it just a few years ago. So it's a race that's been good to me. Never easy to pick the winner. This year, Dan Skelton's horse, the Kempton winner, Kadzand, is likely to be favourite. He's around 11-2 favourite with many firms. You've got John Joe's horse, Soaring Glory, another to take a look at. Nicky Henderson, he's got Buzz, and also Mr. Coffee. In fact, there are so many with chances. But I had a good look at this race, and the horse I've come up with is, at the time of this recording, the complete outsider of the field. Now, the horse in question is called Night Edition, trained by David Pipe, the mount of Tom Scudamore, a top team. How on earth is he 50-1, which is the price that's offered? I'm sure some may go 66s, and if you're on the exchanges, you could get 3 figures here and there. Night Edition is a 5-year-old. He's an ex-French horse who won a 1.5 mile maiden in France from just 3 attempts. And then he was switched to David Pipe's yard on Boxing Day. He arrived at the yard of 2019. And believe it or not, they ran him only 4 days later in his first start over hurdles. And he ran pretty well in a juvenile hurdle to be 4th of 12, having only just come across the channel from France. After that, they stepped him up just a few weeks later to a Grade 2 at Cheltenham. So they obviously have always thought a lot of him. That was in January of last year, and he ran a great race. He was second to Sir Galahad, only beaten a length in a Grade 2. And then he went for a confidence booster, I assume, down to Ludlow, and he won there a 2 mile maiden hurdle when officially rated 133. And then, on only his 4th career start, they threw him into the Fred Winter Hurdle at last year's Cheltenham Festival, Grade 3, over the 2 miles, and he ran a superb race, 2nd of 22 behind Aramax. So this horse likes big fields, handles soft ground, is young and improving, and plenty talented. And to come 2nd at the Cheltenham Festival and only your 4th start in the National Hunt Game is a great effort. Now, he was off for 9 months, so obviously had a really good break, and then he reappeared at Ascot. Do you remember that absolutely desperate ground? The race won by Not So Sleepy, and the ground there was heavier than heavy. It was bog-like, if that could be an official description. And the horse just wasn't knocked about when clearly he was struggling to get through the mud, and having chased them around the home turn in about 8th place, he was just allowed to coast home 14th of 17. Now, if like me, you look at that race and you say to yourself, well, connections have thought a lot of this horse. They're not going to kill him on his first start of the season. There's so many big prizes to go for. It could be a county hurdle type at the festival this year. And I'm amazed that on the strength of one run, only one run, where he hasn't produced the goods, he's the outsider of the field. It baffles me. But I'm happy to be baffled, especially if he runs a big race, and there's plenty of firms going to pay 6 places at least. And I think that to ground, this horse has a serious chance for Pipe and Scudamore, a great team. And I'm with him, and I hope you'll have a couple of bob each way as well. Night Edition at huge odds in the Betfair Hurdle at Newbury on Sunday. So those are my selections for this weekend. I hope they give us a good run for our money. All we want is a bit of a shout and something to cheer on, and hopefully 1, maybe 2, who knows, even more might hit the target. The main thing is to enjoy your racing. And come back to me, of course, next week when I'll be back with more as we continue the build-up towards the Cheltenham Festival, when, by the way, we'll be teaching every day at the festival. So I hope you're going to be with me. Traditionally, I've shown a profit for, I think, 6 of the last 7 festivals. So it's going to pay for you to follow me and to tell all your friends to join us on this service going forward. But for now, from me, Paul Alster, I'm going to wish you a very good weekend. Bye-bye for now.